How to identify a false pregnancy in a dog. False pregnancy in dogs. Description: this condition is characterized by the presence of pregnancy sensations, but there is no intrauterine fetus. Imaginary soreness is often formed during sterile binding. The animals mate, but one of them is sterilized. There are other reasons. The dog behaves as if she will soon have offspring. The characteristic symptoms of pathology are formed at the end of estrus, after 1 to 2 months of the cycle. In the ovary, the creation of a yellow body producing progesterone occurs. The pituitary gland, somewhat later, produces prolactin, responsible for the formation of colostrum. Pets with false pregnancy have all the signs of pregnancy: a growing belly, active eating, swelling of the mammary glands. It is not possible to recognize the pathology visually. With the onset of the moment of childbirth, the female feels contractions, but there are no offspring. The milk is fully formed, but there are no cubs. For a pet, this does not pass without a trace. She becomes inactive, constantly whines, refuses to walk. Causes of pathology. This deviation has a psychophysiological nature. It can be encountered by any female who has reached the age of puberty. Pathology occurs even in sterilized dogs. Among the key reasons, a number of factors can be identified. Imaginary soreness is often formed during sterile binding. The animals mate, but one of them is sterilized. Deviations in the development of the reproductive system. This includes malignant neoplasms or inflammatory reactions in the ovaries. Hormonal disorders. Being in the same room with animals feeding offspring. The duration of a false pregnancy rarely exceeds 4 weeks. Sometimes the problem goes away on its own, but more often it requires intervention from a veterinarian. Psychological disorders can cause the appearance of this pathology, since any living organism, according to the parameters laid down by nature, must reproduce offspring. Experts noted other psychological problems that cause pathology: stress, ignoring by the owner or separation from him, meeting with puppies or children of other biological species. Veterinarians note that imaginary soreness is often diagnosed in dachshunds. Owners of this breed are recommended to undergo an examination several times a year in order to identify deviations in advance. Symptoms of false pregnancy. If the female has not previously carried offspring, how to determine the signs of a false pregnancy? The bottom line is that their symptoms are identical. The behavior of the bitch reflects the bearing of precious offspring, which is accompanied by the following signs: nipples are getting rough, colostrum is forming. The pet licks the loop on which there are secretions. The belly grows. There is a loss of appetite, possible toxicosis. The dog begins to rush, to look for a secluded place. There is no previous physical activity. Alertness to strangers or animals is manifested. The symptoms listed above can manifest both comprehensively and singly. If one of the signs occurs, especially in the absence of binding, it is necessary to seek help from a veterinarian in order to detect the pathology in advance. The difference between false pregnancy and real pregnancy. Owners who are faced with this problem for the first time may be confused, considering that the dog has a real pregnancy. Pet owners should be vigilant if there was no binding. Contacts during the walk are excluded. Previously there was a similar problem. The female was sterilized. If in doubt, you need to visit a veterinary clinic to pass tests and perform instrumental diagnostics. Psychological deviation or deviations in the work of the endocrine system can only be detected by a qualified specialist. prohibited actions. If it was possible to distinguish a false pregnancy from a real one, then you need to leave the animal alone in order to exclude the deterioration of the situation. You should also limit yourself to the following actions: pick up toys, yell at the animal. This can lead to aggression. To give the opportunity to feel like a mother. To allow you to take care of yourself. You need to gently but persistently focus on your favorite game or treat. Give to lick the nipples and the loop. It is advisable to wear a collar that does not allow you to do this. Give sedatives intended for people. Clean up colostrum, mammalian mammary gland secret. Produced in the last days of pregnancy and in the first days after childbirth. Do not pay attention to the problem, hoping for an independent solution. The dog needs full support, as well as the help of a veterinarian. Only in this way will it be possible to return her to her usual way of life. Treatment-independent selection of drugs for therapy can result in disastrous consequences, sometimes up to a fatal outcome. The doctor, having diagnosed an imaginary infection, makes up a treatment regimen based on the weight and age of the patient, the duration of the pathology, the breed, etc. The remedies used are divided into 3 groups: hormonal, homeopathic, sedatives. The first category has a certain negative impact on health, the second has fewer side effects, but has been used for a long time. Veterinary support is required throughout the therapy. Hormone therapy. This is an extreme measure used in case of severe physical and mental exhaustion. Hormones are prescribed in the form of injections. Side effects are possible. The appointment of such therapy is rational only in desperate situations. Homeopathy, a more gentle method for normalizing the well-being of a pet. The drugs are focused on reducing lactation and gradually stabilizing hormone levels. Medications are prescribed both in the form of tablets and in the form of injections. Sedatives, funds intended only for animals, are used. Human drugs are harmful to dogs. Sedatives reduce the psychological burden, stabilizing the state of the central nervous system. Lifestyle and nutrition changes. The pet will need the support of the owner to overcome a difficult period. To do this, you need to walk with the animal. Switch its attention during bouts of melancholy, in order to gradually bring the dog out of a stressful state. During therapy, it is worth transferring the pet to dry food, as well as giving a limited amount of liquid. What complications are possible? Pathology, in an uncontrolled form, can turn into a number of serious complications. Some of them can be fatal. Mastitis. This is an inflammatory process in the mammary glands, accompanied by severe pain. The pathology is treatable, but during the transition to a severe form, the nipples may fester. Overflowing into a chronic form can lead to the development of a malignant neoplasm. Diseases of the genitals. Complications affect the entire reproductive system, leading to the development of the following ailments. Pyometra is an inflammatory process in the uterus, accompanied by suppuration. There is a risk to life. Endometritis is a lesion of the uterine mucosa, a tumor in the reproductive system. The main danger lies in the unexpressed symptoms. It is possible to detect the disease in a severe form during a routine examination or a rapid deterioration in the well-being of the pet. Destruction of the central nervous system. Stress is the most mild form of disorders in the nervous system. Animals can become aggressive, start biting the owner and the rest of the family, and also be unrestrained at the sight of strangers. In severe cases, there is an irreversible destruction of the psyche, comparable to complete insanity. Unfortunately, it is impossible to cure such animals, it remains only to put them to sleep. Such situations are extremely rare, because most psychological abnormalities can be eliminated at an early stage if the disease is detected in a timely manner. Prevention of false pregnancy. Prevention of false pregnancy. There are plans for healthy offspring. You need to bring your partner to your pet not earlier than in the third heat. There should be an annual gap between the mating. It is necessary to monitor the condition of the external genitalia of the dog. The first heat passes unnoticed by the owner, as the pet is constantly licking itself. It is necessary to pay attention to the alarmed state in the vulva, which has increased in size. During this period, it is important to observe hygiene standards, as well as to protect the pet from mating. In case of unwanted pregnancy, you can use an emergency method, hormone therapy, but this is an extreme measure. Any use of this group of medicines will result, in most cases, in a violation of the background, as well as the appearance of deviations. If you do not want offspring, it is better to use a humane method, sterilization. Breeders who have verified the predisposition of the animal to false pregnancy should be especially vigilant during the enestrous phase. Using sedatives. If the heat is too late, it is necessary to use special stimulants. It is recommended to entrust the injection to a veterinarian. It is necessary to increase physical activity by limiting the diet. When purchasing a puppy girl, you need to familiarize yourself with her pedigree. If the predecessors had similar problems, they are highly likely to be transmitted genetically. The breeder has all the documentation that describes both the current and previous condition of the animal. Stress is one of the psychological factors that can cause imaginary tension. It is necessary to protect the dog from fright and nervous breakdowns. If this happens, the intervention of a veterinarian will be required. In severe cases, a course of sedatives is necessary to prevent the destruction of the psyche. This is important. Sterilization is a proven and safe method of preventing this pathology. False pregnancy is a deviation in the work of the endocrine system. Most cases go away painlessly, leaving no consequences. Therapy is required for animals whose pathology is delayed. Independent treatment can turn into new problems. Therefore, supervision and intervention of a qualified veterinarian is required, especially in matters of drug selection. If this video was helpful for you, you can support us with a like. If you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.